So here I have a tire from a previous Piedmont event, and it's came off the Sylvia. The Sylvia has completely stock rear end. I've taken the camber bolts and adjusted them as far positive as I can go, and as you can see, this is how it sits. I'm barely running into the outside tire. So with the camber arms we made today, it gives us plenty of adjustment to actually stand this up a lot further. With the factory settings, you can just see how much of the tire I'm wasting. So you don't really want too much negative camber when it's sitting low. Some people go as far as to actually set positive camber on their car so that when they take off under full power and the car squats down, it actually stands up straighter. But what you basically want to work on with your setup, and you'll be able to tell after drifting whether or not you are having camber issues. Just take a look at your tire like this. So I know I'm having negative camber issues, and that's why we went ahead and made these camber arms. So we've got the camber arms finished with the rod ends. We have the caster arms and the tow arms. The casters don't have any adjustment on them. We're using these last two rod ends for the tension control rods. I'm going to be installing these 1/2-inch bolts with a longer shank because these rod ends are 1/2 inch. The factory Nissan bolts are metric. We still need those for the factory knuckle bolt holes. I bought enough standard bolts to finish all these rod ends. As you can see, even though it's close, there's just a little bit of slop inside there. But with the 1/2 inch, it's much tighter. So we'll be installing these 1/2 inch shank bolts with 2 washers, an offset spacer, the rod end, another 1/2 inch spacer, 2 washers. And then I'll basically be putting the bolt on and trimming the rest of this off. You don't want this really relying on the threads, so you need to find a bolt that has a decent shank on it. I believe that's the right word. Collar, shank. This part. All right, so let's talk about some of the benefits of being able to adjust our camber.
Right, so on the S13, unlike the FB Arc 7, which has no adjustable camber in the rear, when you lower when you lower any car, and it's definitely the S13, this arm starts to go up like this, and that shortens the effective length of the arm, like if you're looking just straight on from the side. And what that does is it puts in too much negative camber into the rear of the vehicle, and that reduces your grip greatly. And so that when you're doing competition drifting or just drifting in general, you want to have as much, or basically get the rear tire as flat as possible, so 0 camber when you're in drift and once the suspension is compressed and everything. So
more tire patch, more
contact patch, more grip, faster you can go through a corner, and more smoke. I mean, I don't think there's any downsides to having a better contact patch. So what we're gonna do is put a rod end here, so we have the ability to make this camber arm longer. And unlike the tow rods where we want it to be in the middle of adjustment, what we'll do is we'll set the stock length of this with the rod end adjusted all the way to the minimum length. So basically, we can just add the most amount of camber back into the rear.
The stock bushing actually centers the tension rod in the arm so that it sticks out a bit further than the sway bar. This offset spacer allows us to bring it in underneath the sway bar and gives us a little more room for clearance and a little more angle. Yeah, so thanks for checking it out. That's the camber arms and some of the rear suspension, including the tow rods. So far we've shortened the knuckles and I've moved the rack forward, and we've got quite a bit of steering angle out of this car from just some garage mods that we've done ourselves. So got a few more videos coming up talking about some of that. If you guys want to follow along, we really appreciate it. Let us know if you have any questions. Just let us know what they are. My goal now is to just get out there on the track and actually see how this stuff holds up and make tweaks and adjustments as we go. So we'll be keeping the content up and making sure that we kind of go over how well this works out on the track. So thank you guys for following along. Later.
Thank you.